used the exact phrase, this is about the students. This is about the students. And there have been a lot of talk about how we're going to help the students in here with the free textbooks, with the tuition caps, with the debate we had earlier about how we're going to bring down the cost of online education. But I think fundamentally those seem to be more distractions than big picture items. They're important to try and save money in smaller ways, but the big picture we ought to be looking at higher education is what kind of a commitment we're going to make to funding. The funding for the state grants program, the funding for the MnSCU system, the funding for the University of Minnesota. That's what the students deserve, not little changes around the corners, but looking at the big numbers. And what I'm troubled by is the fact that the targets given in this bill were $100 million. That's less than a third of the targets the House have. And I know people say, well, we can't match that. We don't have the money. It's not in the targets. And the trouble I have with that is, Senator Anderson, I understand. People will say you did a good job given the targets. It's always a good job given the targets, as if those targets are some immutable reality. We can't change it. That's just the way they are. They were handed down on stone tablets from some divine being. Well, this isn't Charlton Heston, and it's not the Ten Commandments. These are targets. They're set by people in here. And we can change them. But we say, these are the ones we have. This is all we can have on this. And so what we end up with is an investment in higher education that doesn't reflect what we say we want to do, what we say we care about kids. I think in state policy, state law says our goal is to spend 2/3 of the cost of public higher education in the state. I think it actually uses the percentage, 67% in the statute. That's what we want to commit. The students will have 1/3 of the burden, but we're going to pay for 2/3 of it. And what we've done, we keep slipping, and it's been slipping over many years, but this bill isn't helping it. This is making it worse. We're down to about 40% of the funding now. And somehow maybe we can magically buy online tuition cheaper or cheaper textbooks or other things. Somehow we're going to make it better for the students. But in 1968, a student going to the University of Minnesota had to work 6 hours a week at the minimum wage in order to pay their university tuition and fees. A few years ago, it was 44 hours at the minimum wage of several years ago to pay tuition and fees. In other words, back in a generation or two ago, students could work part-time and pay their fees. Now, every one of us knows students who are deep in debt and struggling to pay those loans back. If we were serious about this, that 67% that we have in statute might be something we'd fulfill. I'm disappointed, again, the targets are not something that we can't change. The targets are something that are set in this chamber by members of this chamber. And we can move forward and change them and invest more realistically in this. I think the House has done a much better job. We're not going to get back to 67% today, but we could at least be moving in the right direction. I hope we take that seriously as we move forward and don't count on hiding behind targets that you yourself set and then say, but that's all we can do because that's what we were given.